Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What Do You Mean You've Never Seen, a podcast that explores and analyzes prestigious and popular films that one of us has never seen before. I'm your host, Jonathan Colon, and I'm joined as always by my co-hosts, Jennifer Branch.
What's up, everyone?
And Max Abelman.
Hello, everybody.
We have a very special episode for you this week because we have an interview that'll be played at the end of this episode with our special guest,
Tony McFarr.
Tony McFarr, ladies and gentlemen.
Professional stuntman Tony McFarr.
And restaurateur.
And restaurateur who was in this movie, you guys. He's in the movie.
He is in the movie. And the movie we are watching tonight is Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome to the jungle.
We've got movie stuff.
Oh, wait, we can't pay for that song. Don't sing anymore.
That was short enough tonight. That's too short to trip off the cock.
I mean,
That'll be
Axl
okay.
Rose, if you want to sponsor this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, also, that's the only Guns N' Roses song I know. All right. Thank you all for joining us as we discuss this week's film. We want to say right up top that Max and I had never seen this movie before.
Nope.
We watched it for this episode.
And I am the only one who has seen it. Aren't you guys so proud of me? I've seen a movie. This is the first episode where I have seen the movie. I'm familiar with the movie, and these guys have not. So
And not a movie that I would have assumed you'd seen either.
Well, I mean, I have
right?
I have two teen kids. It was definitely on our radar. It was definitely the kind of movie that they wanted to see. And I liked the original Jumanji. So I was interested to see this one, and I actually had very low expectations the first time I watched it and was pleasantly surprised.
As did I.
Yeah, I would agree.
I really like this movie, so I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about it.
So we're going to just get right into it. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is a 2017 American fantasy adventure comedy.
This is probably the most recent movie we've done, for sure.
Yeah.
So far,
I'd say
yes.
so, yeah.
It was directed by Jake Kasdan. I believe he is the son of Lawrence Kasdan, who is a writer of some very popular Star Wars movies and also one really not popular Star Wars movie. Hashtag Solo, a Star Wars story. No, not a good one.
Is that who that is? Okay. Fair enough.
But
That's a movie I've seen, though.
Yeah.
I saw that one.
I know because I took you to see it at Disney Springs. All right,
and I know that I didn't see that one because I sent you to see it alone.
Yes. Yes, you did. All right. So this was directed by, as we said, by Jake Kasdan. Screenplay by Chris McKenna, Eric Summers, Scott Rosenberg, and Jeff Pinkner. Based on the original Jumanji book by Chris Van Allsburg. This story is not based on that book. The original Jumanji movie was based on that book. And starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, Nick Jonas, and Bobby Cannavale.
All-star cast, you guys. I love this cast.
So
Everybody's
good.
great. I love it.
All right, so those are the basics for this film. I know that it's, the Jumanji franchise is a very popular franchise. This is a very popular movie, popular enough to warrant a sequel. The budget was 90 to 150 million.
Well,
Quite a big
The Rock
range.
gets
He
paid,
does
let
get
me
paid.
tell you. Probably about half of that was for The Rock.
The box
Oh, yeah,
office,
for sure.
$962.5 million.
This is a very
Wow.
popular movie. I was very
Oh.
surprised when you guys said you hadn't seen it because
Yeah.
it seems right up your alley, honestly. Knowing how you guys like Marvel movies, I feel like this is in that same kind of vein. So I was surprised you guys said you hadn't seen it.
I do remember that it came out around the same time as two movies that we did go see in the theater. Max and I, for those of you who don't know, used to work for a famous ice show that stars a famous mouse. And we were in Canada at the time, and we saw Call Me By Your Name and The Greatest Showman. And we loved The Greatest Showman so
okay.
much that we went back and saw it like 4 times.
Oh, The Greatest Showman's so good. If you haven't
It
seen
is
The
so
Greatest
good.
Showman, come on our podcast because we would love to talk about that
Oh,
movie.
yeah,
yes.
for sure.
Yeah, so I think that's why it was just out at the same time as other movies that
Okay,
that
fair
we're
enough.
like, we didn't have that many opportunities to go to the movies, but
Just
I have no
kinda
excuse
missed
for why
it.
we went and
Yeah.
saw Greatest Showman like 4 times. But other than the fact that it's just such a good movie to
Oh,
watch.
The Greatest Showman's great. No need to excuse that. I love The Greatest Showman. Hugh Jackman can do no wrong.
Yeah,
in
this
my book.
movie made over almost $1 billion. It has
so
a sequel that also was very successful. So, a lot of people have seen it. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about it, other than like the critics who complain about any movie that's like this movie. But it seems like everybody who saw it enjoyed it. And
It's a great popcorn flick, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, a brief description of the plot is that the Jumanji game from the first movie, for those of you who remember back in 1990, whatever, it washes up on the shore of a beach. That's like the post-credit scene of the first Jumanji movie. So, this movie starts with that. The game eventually is picked up.
It is a sequel, not a remake.
It is a sequel. It is not a reboot. This takes place in the same universe. It starts 1 year after the first movie took place. We won't go into all of the specifics, but the game eventually transforms itself into a video game. And many years later, it's found in like a storage closet in a school by these 4 kids who have detention.
Very
it's kind of like
Clubby.
Breakfast Club, which is a movie we're going to be doing soon. Instead of the Jumanji world coming into the real world, what happens in this movie is that they get sucked into the game. And it's not them as themselves. Like when Alan Parrish in the first movie went into the game, he went in and he was just himself. Now they're portrayed by avatars. So like the scrawny kid nerd who has a bunch of allergies turns into The Rock, and the football jock turns into
Kevin
Hart.
Yeah.
So I love Kevin Hart.
The Instagram princess turns into Jack Black, which
amazing.
what a brilliant choice.
it's a choice.
Strong
for sure.
choices in this movie.
Yeah.
And the nerdy girl turns in the nerdy antisocial one turns into the
Karen
Gillan. Karen
Is that her
Gillan,
name?
who's kind of like a new version of that Laura Croft character.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
she's
Very
very
Lara
Lara Crofty.
Crofty.
She's super Laura Croft. Oh, you guys said
Wow.
that.
We
right.
say it's very Lara Crofty. Very
But yeah,
Lara
but,
Crofty.
she's this sort of badass. Wears a crop top for no reason, which they do call out in the movie, which I like.
Yeah.
But like cool girl karate. They call out her dance fighting. Yeah, so that's who she is.
She then
She's
proceeds
that
to
sort of
not really
woman.
dance fight.
She just
But
fights
it's
with them,
fine.
yeah.
She just fights.
Under the pretense of dancing.
Yeah.
All right, so they get sucked into the game. They have to complete a mission like you do in most video games. I'm told. I have not played a video game since the Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer game came out.
That game's so good.
It was very frustrating. So it deals with a lot of tropes of video games. So there's a lot of in-jokes. They have to return this jewel that's been stolen from the eye of a jaguar or jaguar, for those of you on the other side of the pond. We do have listeners in England. Thank you very much, English listeners. Or if you're Welsh or Scottish or wherever you are in the UK. And Ireland. We love Ireland.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
My daughter's an Irish dancer.
Yes, she is.
We're big Ireland.
Well, she
people.
does Irish dance. She's not an Irish dancer.
Well, she's part Irish. It's fine.
She's got some Irish. She loves potatoes, so she must be Irish. Sorry, guys. That was just a joke. All right. Anyway, getting back to the plot. So they complete the task. They eventually get to go back to being themselves. They're all enriched by the experience. They all grow a little. Everybody has a little journey that they have to take, either whether it become more compassionate or become more brave,
yeah.
or not be so judgmental. It's very cute. And well, let's talk before we get too ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about what we knew about the movie going into it. I knew virtually nothing other than the fact of who was in it, and from seeing the trailers, you know that it's other people that get sucked into the game and then are portrayed by the avatars that are the stars of the movie. And that was pretty much it. That's all I knew, and that they were going to be in Jumanji instead of Jumanji being in all of us. We're all going to be in Jumanji.
Yeah.
How about you, Max?
Yeah, that's about the gist of it. I knew that it's them being sucked into a video game, and I knew the cast of characters, except for Nick Jonas, who I did not realize was in this movie watching it.
Oh,
He appeared, and I was like, "Oh, hi, Nick. How's it going?"
I had heard that he was in one of these. I just didn't know whether it was this one or the second one. I guess he is in both of them, right?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
haven't seen the next one after this, so I don't know for sure.
We'll have to
But
see.
I'm always excited
Add
to
it to
see
the
Nick
list.
Add
Jonas.
it
He's
to
the
the
best Jonas
list.
brother brother. Sorry, Kevin, and whoever the other one is, Joe, right?
Yeah, Joe Jonas.
No, we're not worried about
Yeah,
those guys.
no.
Nick for life. We're Nick fans
I would
on
agree.
this podcast.
I would agree with that. I don't think Jonathan cares, but I would agree with that.
Nick
Yeah.
Jonas and the administration.
Nick is great.
Is it administration or association?
I have
This
no
band?
idea. I don't really follow.
Are you
think it's
talking
the-
about Cake by the Ocean? Is that what
No,
you're talking
that's-
about?
that's
Joe.
Dunes.
No, that's...
Which is pronounced dance.
Dons.
I don't know that much about the Jonas Brothers, except
Okay.
for that Nick is the best one.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah.
And it's
Anyway.
always great to see him with like old style Nick Jonas hair. That sort of like him keeping it curly rather than
Well, and
any
he
of the
looks
other
so
stuff.
great in this
He
movie because
does.
he's
He
got
looks
that
so
leather
good.
pilot jacket on.
Yeah, he
I'm
looks great in
here
this
for
movie.
it.
That
I'm
is a
here
man.
for Nick in this movie.
That is a man who definitely has swagger.
100%.
I think I would
Absolutely.
say even more swagger than The Rock.
Honestly, yes.
Yeah.
I like, honestly, it's like got like this kind of like Justin Timberlake kind of thing, right? Where it's like, I'm not that attracted to Justin Timberlake, but Justin Timberlake just has this like quality, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with Nick Jonas. It's like, he's just got it together. And it's like, if I had the choice between Nick and The Rock, I'd pick Nick all day.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, and he's very charming in this movie.
Oh,
He
he's
is.
so
He's
good. He
very
looks
charming.
amazing. He's great.
Did you remember everything about this movie when you
Pretty
rewatched
much.
it?
So this is maybe the third time I've watched it. I think I watched it twice before. So going in, I do remember the first time going in, I was, like I said, I was a big fan of the first movie, you know, the Robin Williams one. I remember it being like pretty scary, and we know I don't like scary movies. So I was a little nervous this one going in, and I was like, really? They're doing like Jumanji again? Like, is this gonna be good? And honestly, like the first time I watched it, I was just like, this movie's great. I was so pleasantly surprised. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. It's so funny. It's got great bits. The actors are all great. It's so fun. I just have so much fun with this movie. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, let's go to our thoughts and impression on the film. Wasn't it an interesting watch, and what stood out about it for you, Max?
Was it an interesting watch? I mean, no, yes, kind of. I mean, there's nothing that like is surprising about this movie. It sort of is what you expect it to be for the most part. Other than like it's a lot of cliches and stuff like that, but the cliches are still done very well.
Well,
You know,
I think the
they're
cliches,
fun.
like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, this
too.
movie knows exactly what it
It's
is.
very tongue-in-cheek. It's
Yeah.
very self-aware. It's very meta.
Yeah, this movie knows exactly what it is and does that well, and it's not taking itself too seriously. It's sort of a hard movie to criticize because it knows. It already knows. You don't need to tell it that it's wrong. It knows it's wrong. You don't need to tell it that it's kind of a cash grab. It knows that it's kind of a cash grab. It's still fun. It's still a fun cash grab, though. It was very fun to watch.
Yeah. What I want to say first off, my impressions of the movie and what stood out to me was, holy crap, was this movie acted well?
Oh, so good.
Yes.
I was
Absolutely.
so shocked.
That's what I'm saying about
I
being
think
like
this
pleasantly
is-
surprised with this, because it's like
Yeah.
the acting is so
acting
good.
was so awesome. I think this is The Rock's greatest acting performance
Rock
I've
is
ever
Probably.
seen.
Yeah.
He's
I have
so
never
good.
seen him not just be The Rock. But he is not just The Rock in this movie. He is
No.
acting his ass off
He
in
is.
this
so
movie.
good in this. He's so good.
I was
He's
so
so good.
stunned. I was like, okay, so when they get sucked into the game, we're just going to be watching The Rock being The Rock. You know, like we've seen him in like literally every other movie that he's
Sure.
in.
Yeah.
Like Jungle Cruise or the one with the skyscraper or the one with the earthquakes or when he,
Right,
you know, like.
Yeah.
right. I
And
guess
those
the Fast and the
ones.
Furious, which we're going to be doing on this podcast, I think he's in those movies.
He's in some of them?
I
Yeah.
feel like
To my
we're doing
knowledge,
that on the
he's in
podcast
them.
because we haven't seen those movies. So.
Yeah, and there's like 19 of them, so it's
Yeah.
gonna take us a long time to get. It might take us a long time to get to the ones he's in. But wow, his acting performance was so good, and
so
Jack
good.
Black is so good.
He
I
is.
thought he was gonna be like super over the top, like prancy, but he actually did. It made me believe that it was the girl from the beginning of the movies.
Yeah.
It was her same personality. It did not change.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
That was like when so when you first watch this movie and you figure out that Jack Black is this prissy, you know, Instagram obsessed girl, you think like, oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be like
Yeah.
white chicks, you know, where they're so over the top and not behaving how any any actual girl behaves, but how guys think girls behave.
Right.
Which is so over the top and so stupid. But I feel like Jack Black does so good with this. I really do.
Well. And
it's so good.
One of the few things about this movie that did super surprise me about this movie was getting to watch Jack Black discover the joys of his own penis. It was a thing.
That's something you never thought you'd see, for
And
sure.
it was really well done, though.
And
it
it had
wasn't
so much potential to be over the top
or
and
gross.
obnoxious.
It could have
or
been really
gross.
gross, but it wasn't. It was pretty well
so
done.
he does it
perfectly.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love him.
It's not egregious. It's not exploitative. It's so
not
good.
super just tropey and obnoxious and just no girls actually behave like this. This is just how guys imitate girls, which is so offensive usually.
Yeah.
But he's really not. He plays it so well.
Yeah. And one of my first thoughts when I even heard this premise, and you can tell from the previews that Jack Black is portraying a female character. I was like, well, that's kind of crappy that they have two and two, two male characters and two female characters, and they chose to make one of them a male.
Right.
So that there's really only, when they're in Jumanji, only one of them is physically a female. But Jack Black is, when Jack Black and Karen Gillan interact together, it's like you're watching two women talking.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good. And he's not doing a weird, I'm going to play a gay man or, I'm going to play,
No.
he doesn't do that. I don't.
There's a lot of
It's
subtlety in
really
his performance.
It really is. You really do believe this is a woman trapped in a man's body.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by Jack Black's performance in this. I really am. I think he's so good.
Yeah, the choice to do that could have very easily skewed sexist, but it actually
100%.
The way they did it, it makes sense with the plot. It makes for a lot of great comedic moments, and it makes for a lot of great serious moments too. It was just good all the way around.
Yeah, and his character, I think we all make assumptions of her based on her appearance and her being obsessed with Instagram and pictures of herself. You assume she's going to be a mean girl, and that's also the assumption that Karen Gillan's character makes. And it turns out that she's actually pretty nice. She's just full of herself.
Right.
She's just not aware, and that's her journey, is that she has to learn to be more aware of other people's pain and other people's struggles.
Right.
And to be more selfless.
And she admits that too. And she's like, well, maybe I am self-absorbed, but maybe you're being really judgy too without knowing me. It's a really interesting conversation that he and, Martha, I guess, have about...
Oh, her name's Martha.
Her name is
Why
Martha.
did you say that
Bethany
name?
and Martha. So, but it's a really interesting conversation that they both are kind of making the wrong... It reminds me of Mean Girls, where it's you think the mean girl is just the popular girl, but it's no, they're all kind of doing the same thing. It's just they're in different cliques, right? And it's the same kind of thing.
And everyone's
with
the
that.
hero in their own story.
Right. And I really love, and you kind of get that Bethany, who Jack Black is playing, kind of gets a crush on the Nick Jonas character. And their interactions are so cute and so sweet, and they have good chemistry. It's really
It's very
impressive.
sweet.
I love it.
Yeah, it's very sweet. It's not played for ew, it's a guy.
No,
and a
it's
guy.
really
It's
cute.
very cute.
I really enjoy it.
Although I feel like Fridge was not the hero in his own story. He's the only one where I can't really see being that.
Of all the performances, probably Kevin Hart has the most jokes in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
But
for sure.
of course,
But
why wouldn't you
he's
give the good
basically
jokes to Kevin
just
Hart?
playing Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a journey to portray the character, the avatar of this other character, because we don't find out that much about Fridge prior to this, other than the fact that he just doesn't have time for studies, and he's self-conscious about being thought of as dumb, and he wants to play football.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a whole lot of lines.
No.
He doesn't have...
He kind of
we don't
serves
really learn
to
about
serve
him.
a purpose for the rock / the nerdy guy, where he kind of points out to him don't you see what's going on? Obviously Martha is into you, blah blah blah. That's kind of the purpose that he's serving. He doesn't really get his own story as much.
He's a sidekick mostly.
He is.
And his story arc is just that he's kind of blows off the Rock's character when they're in the real world, because he's not cool enough for him.
Even
and
though
then
they were friends as kids.
And they were friends as kids. And then at the end, he's friends with them again.
Kevin Hart.
His character doesn't really go anywhere.
No.
But he's
fair.
very funny, and Kevin Hart is very appealing to watch in this. And
And he
made me laugh
explodes.
so
and most of the laugh
hard.
out loud moments do come from Kevin Hart.
Like where strength is his weakness. Oh,
He's like,
we
"How
laughed
is
at that for like
strength a weakness?"
A weakness. I explode when I
He gets some really good moments, but again,
his acting is really good too, because
Yeah,
you
he's
do
great.
believe that he's like, I know that I'm bigger than this, and I'm usually a more powerful person, and I'm like stuck in this tiny man, like I'm stuck up against this guy who I usually, not bully, but usually I'm like
Could
better
intimidate,
than
yeah.
exactly, and now he's the big guy. The acting, he's doing so good. I believed every bit of it. I believe that these avatars are the kids trapped in these bodies. I really do.
Absolutely, yeah.
for sure. We're not going to go too much more into the intricacies of the plot because it's a pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's a grab and go, complete this mission and then complete the next mission type of story. It's more the more interesting thing for me is the characters and how they interact with each other. And I didn't say anything yet about Karen Gillan's character. She's more of a standoffish because she's put up walls to protect herself, and even her physical performance in the beginning, she's like hunched over and she draws within herself.
Right.
And as the movie goes, she gets more confident. Even like her shoulders like open up and she stands taller and she like speaks with more authority. And I think that was really cool. Yeah, she totally owns it. All right. Talk to us about eyebrows, Jennifer.
Oh, well, we all know The Rock has his eyebrow game on point.
Oh, absolutely.
All the time.
Absolutely.
So that's really all you got to say, right? I mean, The Rock's eyebrows are the best thing ever. And if you don't know that, then get off this podcast because everybody knows that when it comes to eyebrows, The Rock's are on point all the time.
Yeah, we want to alienate our viewers on this one. If you don't know The Rock's eyebrows, get out.
I mean, The Rock, he does the one eyebrow acting. The Rock has amazing eyebrows. He does eyebrow acting all the time. I mean, he wins eyebrow
He smolders.
game 100%. He's
No,
the
he
smoldering
literally
all over the
smolders.
place.
He literally
But also Nick
smolders.
Jonas, again, really good eyebrows. He looks great in
true.
this. You
They work
can't
for him.
discount Nick Jonas. It's hard because, well, obviously The Rock's in this and he's supposed to be the big hunk of the movie, but Nick Jonas, he's right up there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And he has facial hair and it doesn't look gross.
He looks amazing.
He
I
does.
love Nick Jonas in this 100%. The jacket, I'm here for it. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. That bomber jacket works for him. What do you think? Would you recommend this movie to people who've never seen it before? Would you recommend it to people who are fans of the first one? That's a good one we always want to ask on sequels, is if you liked the first one, do you think people will also enjoy this?
Absolutely. I think this movie is so fun. I think a lot of times when these sequels come out way after the movie and it doesn't have any of the original stars of the movie in it, people tend to discount it and be like, oh, it's just going to ruin it for me. But I think this movie is so fun. I think it pays homage to the original while being its own thing. 100% I recommend it. I think it's such a good movie. I really enjoy this movie a lot.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Max?
I would have to agree. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen the original, but this was really fun to watch. I don't know if you're like maybe a super fan of Jumanji, maybe you can skip it because I don't know what a Jumanji super fan looks like or what their life is. So I don't know if you're just like do not
I imagine them wearing a lot of
soil
like animal
this
print
sacred-
clothing.
do not soil this sacred movie with this. I don't know. So yeah, I would definitely recommend watch this movie. I would recommend not watching the Jumanji in space thing that happened that one time, whatever that one was called. Zathura. Yeah, no, that was fine. I guess not really.
I feel like Zathura was a ripoff of Jumanji, and I feel like this one paid homage to Jumanji.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, watch it.
All right, let's move on to the What Do You Mean You've Never Seen awards. All right, who gets the big question? I think I'll give myself the big question this week.
You answer
because
it.
I have never seen the movie before.
Treat yourself,
do it,
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Do
This is
it.
a movie that you
Do
haven't
it.
seen before.
Do you
so
want me to ask
go.
it to you? Do you? Okay, I'll ask it to you.
Could you try?
I can try.
Can you get the words out?
Jonathan Cologne, is this movie better than the Muppet movie?
here's the thing. I might have to say that it is just slightly not as good as the Muppet movie.
Fair.
Because both of those movies brought me a lot of joy. I laughed out loud at it, which I don't generally laugh out loud at funny movies. I don't know if I've ever laughed out loud at the Muppet movie, to be quite honest with you.
Fair.
The Muppet movie does, of course, have better songs in it, but Welcome to the Jungle has Welcome to the Jungle, which is the only Guns N' Roses song that I know.
That song is a bop.
It is. It hits. It definitely does.
Slaps.
So yeah, I think it's pretty close. It's pretty close, but I'm gonna give Muppet Movie the edge because it also has Gonzo crashing into a car in a hot air balloon. And if a movie does not have that in it, then it can't possibly be as good as the Muppet movie, I think.
Yeah.
So that's my feeling. And what about you, Jennifer? Name something you like better than this movie and something that you like less.
Oh, gosh, something I like better than this movie. Not a lot, because I really do like this movie. I really, really do. And I'm glad you guys liked it, because I really do love this movie. But I did go see Paul McCartney the other night, and it's really hard to beat a Paul McCartney concert. That's a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, even though I've done it multiple times.
Like a six in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
I've done it multiple times, but this time I brought my kids, which they had never been, and I brought my mom, which she had never, or our mom, which she had never been.
That's your mom.
That's my legal mother.
That is Max's mother-in-law. So just seeing the joy on their faces, seeing Paul McCartney, you can't beat that. I mean, Paul McCartney, what are you going to do? You can't beat a live Paul McCartney concert. Something I liked less than this movie. So I was pretty sick last week, and that was terrible. And I liked that a lot less than I like this movie.
That makes sense. I can,
yeah.
having
There's a
recently
lot of
been sick
things I
myself, I can certainly sympathize.
I'm finally I'm so glad, because today's the first day that I felt like, I actually feel better. I didn't have COVID. I did test myself, but I did have some kind of gross illness. But I feel better, and that's nice. But I didn't like being sick. That I like less. But Paul McCartney, I mean, he's going to win every time, even over Nick Jonas, and I do love a Nick Jonas. So this movie's great.
Max,
Yes.
who won this movie, and who was the loser of this movie?
Whatever his name, Tom Hanks' son won this movie.
Colin Hanks, we didn't even talk about him.
Hanks
He's so
won
good
this
in
movie.
this.
He gets to be Nick Jonas. He gets to have lots of fun adventures. He gets to go back to his own time. I did not expect that to happen either. I thought he was just going to be in the future and they would have to heal from there. Yeah, and then he gets like a wife and kids and still gets to have weird residual feelings about a high schooler, I guess.
And who's the loser?
Who is the loser? I'm going to say Fridge is the loser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mr. Refrigerator is... I don't see him actually getting a whole lot out of the deal. Like everybody else get to be coupled up or got to discover something new and exciting about himself. But I don't think Fridge is better or worse off at the end of this movie.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I have to disagree on the Colin Hanks thing. I don't think he really gets to be the winner. I think he has a lot of good things going for him. But I feel like if you've been Nick Jonas and then you have to grow up and not be Nick Jonas, that's kind of got to be a
Even
bummer.
if you get to be Colin Hanks, I mean, Colin Hanks has got to have had a good life.
Yeah, but if you look like Nick Jonas and you grew up and ended up not looking like Nick Jonas, that would be kind of sad.
Colin Hanks is cute, but he's no Nick Jonas. That's for sure.
He's not even Joe Jonas or Kevin Jonas. Well, maybe
he's a little Kevin Jonas-y,
a little bit Kevin
I
Jonas-y.
feel like.
But I think Kevin Jonas has better eyebrows. So the loser of this movie for me is definitely that guy that had the scorpion vomited onto his face by Bobby Cannavale, because that is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I
So
blocked
gross.
that from my memory immediately.
He's like, oh, and then the scorpion comes out of his mouth and kills the guy. Like, just slit his throat.
Crazy.
Don't do that. Don't terrorize him right before you're gonna kill him. And this is your henchman. And you know what? The people got away, but you were standing right there and you had a gun and you didn't let them. So just shoot him.
This guy was doing his best. He was trying. He didn't betray
Yeah.
you. He just, what else could he do?
See, that's why the villains always lose, because they're always willing to kill their own people just for making mistakes.
And it just sucks that guy's weakness was poison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy that just that one guy has a weakness to poison. And then when anybody else gets poisoned, what happened?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out in the
weakness to
sequel.
venom.
We didn't watch the sequel yet. So.
We did not watch the sequel yet. All right.
So for me, the winner of this movie is Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas can do no wrong in my book. He looks amazing. I get so excited when he comes, because he doesn't come in, right away with the rest of them. He comes in a little bit later. But it's so hard to pick because they're all so good. Like I said, Jack Black is so good in this movie.
True.
Kevin Hart makes me laugh so hard. The Rock is acting his ass off. The Rock is so he looks great.
I feel he
acting.
deserves awards for this performance.
He literally is so good. I think this movie's so good. And of course we gotta give it up to Tony McFarr for the stunts. Of course. He also wins the movie.
Speaking of the stunts, I think one of my favorite moments in the movie is when the motorcycle gang comes over the hill and Kevin Hart is like, what is this place?
Kevin Hart makes me laugh so hard because I feel like we can all relate to Kevin Hart in this movie because he's like, I hate this game. This is terrible. This sucks. Kevin Hart is like all of us in this movie. He's so good. But Nick Jonas, he can do no wrong in my book. Nick Jonas is amazing in this. He looks amazing. I love a shorty, and he's short, and he's cute, and I love him. 100% Nick Jonas win this movie. The loser is the guy with the bugs crawling out of his face. So gross. I hated him. He was obviously the villain, but gross. Hated it. Didn't need to see that.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to rate the movie now. So pick a metric that is relative to this film. Tell us how many out of 5 you give it. We're going to go with Jennifer first.
This gets 4.5 out of 5 green flashy stones. For me, I think the acting is so good. Like I said, this had the opportunity to go really wrong. It really did.
Absolutely.
This definitely could have been really terrible. And I feel like they made the right choices. And I was very proud of them for doing that. It deserves all the money it made. It deserves everything. I really enjoy this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. The original Jumanji for me was a little too scary. I'll watch it, but it's a little too scary for me. And this one I just found more fun. Just action, a romp. I love a good romp. Everybody's great in this. Everybody's on their A game. Everybody looks great. Loved it. 4.5.
All right, Max, what do you got for us?
I'm going to also give it a 4.5 out of 5 explosive cake allergies. It's really good. It's surprising how good it is. It also knows that you expect it to be bad going into it and makes the point of being like, ha, surprise, I'm good. I'm a good movie. Yeah. Amazing. Incredible.
I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5 pitchers of Nick Jonas's delicious margaritas.
Oh my God, I wanted that margarita so bad.
I figure that was like a commercial for Nick Jonas's private margarita collection. You know how
I would buy that margarita.
Ryan Reynolds has that aviation gin. Sure. This could be aviation
George Clooney,
margaritas.
I think has a tequila. Yeah, no, I would buy Nick Jonas's margaritas.
If Nick Jonas came at you with a pitcher of margaritas, even if you were an underage person in the body of The Rock, you'd just take it.
100.
Oh,
You'd be like, give me more.
Sure.
The most believable part of this whole movie was the fact that Kevin Hart just wanted to drink more of those margaritas.
He's like, give me those margaritas. I will take 3. I will be drunk. I love it. I was with Kevin Hart in that moment.
Imagine if you did get transferred into a smaller body, how much you would spend less on alcohol to get drunk.
Imagine if Nick Jonas was your bartender. Come on. He would make so much money.
Nick Jonas, if you listen to this podcast,
oh my God,
come be our bartender.
Okay, so here's what needs to happen. They need to do a remake of Cocktail, only make it a good movie and have it be Nick Jonas and Tom Holland doing his bartender tricks from Uncharted.
I would watch that.
Yeah,
movie.
I'd watch that too.
100.
I've also never seen Cocktail.
Oh no, we need to put that on.
Terrible.
We need to put that on the list.
Okay.
It's you got to watch it, but it's got some issues.
Yeah, watching it is like waking up with a hangover. You're like, oh yeah, it was kind of fun, but I don't know if it was worth all the pain.
Wow. Well, when you put it that way, then I have to watch this movie.
It's on the list. But yeah, okay. If Nick Jonas was my bartender, I'd be buying all the drinks.
Oh my 100%. God, he would get so many tips. I would be completely bankrupt by the end of the night.
I love it.
Great.
Morally and financially.
100. All right, everyone. So we have a very special treat for you guys. He was a stunt person in this movie. His name is Tony McFarr. Hi, Tony.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Tony.
Hey.
So we're really excited to talk to him. We're so grateful he came and joined us on our little show. So why don't you tell us, kind of how you got started in this business and, how this all came about?
So I grew up in Cocoa Beach, Merritt Island area, and then moved over to Orlando to go to UCF. Somewhere along the lines, I ended up finding out about an audition at Disney for the Indiana Jones stunt show. I went, and they just put you through, kind of a lineup to see if height and whatever they're looking for. And then they kind of weed people out. Then after that, they do, push-ups, pull-ups, various things to keep weeding people out, I guess. And then I made it to the end. So I was going to be hired either for Tarzan or the German mechanic because I was too tall to be Indiana Jones. It's got to be, at that time, was like under 6 foot. And then I ended up booking the role as the German mechanic and worked at Disney for around 15 years at the Indiana Jones show.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't book the part of Tarzan because basically you're just running around in a loincloth, and that show ended up closing early, and all those guys ended up kind of breaking their shoulders from all the hanging and swinging and all that stuff. So it turned out good.
What kind of training do you have to go through for this, or
Yeah, I mean, so basically the training is, just be athletic, coordinated, and you just kind of keep building up skills one at a time. Fight sequences, high falls, fire burns, driving, and yeah. So Disney kind of teaches you, the base of throwing, taking punches, and all that kind of stuff. It's just important to know how to take the punch as it is to throw it because you have to match that force to make it read. And then, yeah, I started working down in Miami on TV shows and movies down there. Burn Notice, The Glades, Rock of Ages I did down there with Tom Cruise. The stunt was actually catching Alec Baldwin as he stage dove.
Oh, was he heavy?
Actually, he was a little heavy. And yeah, he did it. He did it only like once or twice. He's like, all right, that's all I want to do, because he had a stunt double. And then it was funny because he's like, all right, let me do it again. And he just get more and more comfortable and just kept jumping higher and higher. And I mean, after a certain point, we're starting to get tired catching him. I think we almost dropped it one time. But we're like, oh my gosh, he's jumping higher and higher.
Yeah, I don't really think of Alec Baldwin as much of a stunt guy. That's pretty cool.
He's more of
he felt comfortable.
He's more of a sit around and drink scotch guy.
Yeah. And this, like I said, this is when he was, a little thicker too. But yeah, he was into it. So
that's really cool.
And then then after that, all the movies came to Atlanta for the 30% tax break. They definitely jumped on that. So Atlanta became the hot spot for the number one spot for all movie making, really. And then you just have to move there and be where it's at to be a part of it.
Of course.
And that's about it.
Cool. So we specifically wanted to talk about Jumanji. We really loved the movie, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was so fun.
So good.
I think the boys were surprised. I had actually seen it before, but the boys hadn't seen it. And I was like, the first time I watched it, I thought it was going to be bad too, but it was really good, and I really enjoyed the movie.
I mean, it really surprised me. Yeah, I mean, I had low expectations, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, that was really, really good."
It's really fun. It's such a good movie. So why don't you tell us, maybe about who you are in this, and maybe where we can see you, and what were you doing specifically in this one?
Sure. So on this, we filmed that in Atlanta. And then they actually filmed the other half in Hawaii. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go on that part, but that's all right.
You did end up back
Atlanta,
in Hawaii at some point.
Yeah. So Jurassic 1 and 2. So yeah. But for Jumanji, we filmed that. I was in that bizarre scene where he first turns in or realizes he's got powers, or The Rock or Dwayne Johnson is going through the that market.
Does he actually punch you? Do you get punched by The Rock?
No, he was supposed to slam my head into a table. Actually, it ended up getting cut kind of at the last minute. I was like, oh. But, that we actually shot in they set that up in downtown Orlando between two decrepit old buildings that were vacant. It's amazing what they can do. And I was freezing. It was in the middle of winter in Atlanta. It gets pretty cold. Yeah. And that just created this wind tunnel. So it was, to see it in the movie, it looks like it's nice and warm out and all that stuff. But I mean, it was just miserable and cold and freezing. And
oh, wow.
we were doing the stunts like out in the dirty like parking lot with pads and stuff like that. So it's funny final product, what really goes into it. But yeah, he gets his powers and he punches the one guy like, through the roof. Then I'm supposed to like throw a punch and he blocks it and then just grabs my head and smashes it into a table. And then he just goes down the line, and beats everyone up basically. He was actually just super, super cool, very, very friendly and professional. But yeah, he just wanted to cut that out because there was so many sequences. So it ended up getting cut out. But I was doing the sequence with his stunt double, which is his cousin from Hawaii. What is his name? I can't remember it.
I feel like I've seen pictures of him. Yeah. He's a big dude.
Yeah. Ton of weight is his name. So yeah, he's been his main stunt double, I think since day one. And he actually is his cousin. So yeah, ton of weight. So yeah, the funny part was he had broken his arm or something, so he had a cast on it. And when we're rehearsing, I throw the punch and he blocks it, and he's blocking it with his cast arm. So I mean, and he's catching my arm every time. I'm like, oh God, I'm like, please stop doing that. But, yeah, I still remember that. I'm like, ay. But so that was fun. And then Jack Black, super, super nice. One of the other guys from the Indiana Jones is his stunt double. He was a tumbler, and he's been his stunt double since about the beginning as well.
Yeah, he's Michelle's husband, right?
Yeah, Waitman, Jimmy. Yep. And funny story, he's was in really, really good shape and used to wear like a fat suit. And then after he just started doubling him, namely, he just kind of got a little like,
it's like, well, I got this gig. It's fine. I could look more like Jack Black.
It's probably more comfortable to be a little heavier than to have to wear a fat suit.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of funny about that. But yeah, Jack Black was awesome. And then I'd worked with the girl in that on Guardians of the Galaxy, Karen, I believe. She's the blue girl on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Nebula. And then who else? Oh,
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Kevin Hart. Yeah, he was all right. He would show up late and be on his phone. He wasn't really too professional, actually.
Well, the person we really want to know about on this podcast is Nick Jonas because he's our fave.
Oh yeah, he was. He was all right too. He actually didn't really talk to anyone.
I can see that.
Two big bodyguards at all times. It was always drinking a protein shake, and I mean there was really no need to have any bodyguard, on set. So yeah, I was just like, oh God, who is this guy? Yeah, he didn't leave a very good first impression, unfortunately. Like he didn't say a word to anyone, and he, like I said, always had his protein shake, and he's a little guy. I was like, oh, okay, buddy.
That's
and
funny.
His two big bodyguards. I'm like, who? We're in backstage, where it's all locked up. I'm like, who is gonna like? Oh yeah,
like he's afraid his crazy girl fans are just gonna rush.
No, he was afraid The Rock was gonna just like come at him because it's like, oh my God, I love Nick Jonas.
We still love Nick Jonas. Jonas.
Everyone's
funny though.
Different, and like I said, I just watched them, and like on set, you just kind of watch and see how people, and you see it all,
Right, right.
But it does. The Rock does seem like the kind of person that would be like
super
cool
nice
with everybody.
He really just kind of how you see him on TV and interviews. I mean, he's just like that on set too, and just very personable, very polite. Walk through everything with stunts, and yeah, exactly. So
I think when you're like a big guy like that, you kind of have to be like really nice. Like you have to be overly nice, because otherwise people are like already afraid of you, right? Yeah. Well, just like Tony. Tony's a big dude, and he's very sweet.
Well, yeah, The Rock, I think they have, they have him listed at like 6'5", but he's like literally like 6'2", maybe 6'3".
They always like inflate that, right? Well, and everybody else in the movie is so tiny, so he looks big too. Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Nick Jonas, they're all small. So.
Right. No, The Rock is massive though. I mean, he's diesel, like.
That's fun.
But do you have like a favorite stunt or anything that you performed in this movie?
So in this one, I was basically, so sometimes you're a stunt double on someone, and then sometimes you're just kind of like a bad guy or a good guy. Mm-hmm. And, depending on, you put on helmets or masks or this or that. And so they can just keep using you in all different scenes, as long as you don't see your face, basically. So, when you're doing stunts like that, you always just try to kind of hide your face so that you can just keep using you in different stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like a good guy that gets like pushed around. Then I was a bad guy that pushes some people around. I don't even think, I come running through there with like a machete or something, and I don't even think I even saw myself. So,
Okay. All right.
you know, and sometimes you do these like hard, nasty stunts where you hit the deck like super hard and you're like, man, you can't put a pad down. They're like, no, we're going to, see you go all the way to the ground. And I'm like, oh, and then see that whatever. And they completely cut it, just show the actor, just kind of falling from his knees. You're like, oh, my back when we did that, 3-4 times. Like, So yeah, that's just how it goes. I mean, you just pad up as much as you can, and you hope that the stunt coordinator is, trying to make it as safe as they can, and look out for your well-being. I mean, that's the main thing is when you hit the deck a couple times, like hard on the hard deck, they need to let the directors know, like, hey, he's only got a couple more,
Right?
Because if you keep doing it, they just forget that you're actually, a human being, and they'll make you do it all day.
Oh yeah,
Right. Like, I'm not a
I mean,
robot.
really,
for sure.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he's not feeling that, and of course you do, but you're just like, oh, I'm good.
Well, maybe you're just that good of an actor, Tony, I guess. They're like,
Yeah, no,
so we know it's not this movie, but we do want to talk about, some of the other work you've done. We know that you doubled for Chris Pratt, and I'm sure our listeners really want to hear about that. If you have any specific stories you want to share.
So yeah, that's actually, I was still living in Orlando, and I was actually kind of driving back and forth to Atlanta. I had a small apartment there. Basically, when they would call, like, hey, can you work tomorrow on this? I'm like, oh, I'll hop in the car and drive like 7 hours to Atlanta if I wasn't already there. But I eventually did move up to Atlanta for that. Well, not for that, but they were shooting part of it in Hawaii and part of that one in Louisiana. And I got the call. I think I was like the second guy or whatever, because the first guy they wanted to use, who had doubled him on some reshoots for Guardians 1. They shot the reshoots here in America, and then they shot the Guardians 1 in England. So that guy actually was doubling Arnold Schwarzenegger on the Terminator movie, so he was unavailable. And I got the call and basically just said, yeah. He said it'll be shooting in Hawaii, and you'll be doing some ratchet. And that's where they, it's a pressurized system that just yanks you off your feet like you're getting exploded. And basically with those, hit your kind of butt first, and then your head kind of snaps back. So they're not that much fun, actually. And there's no way to really stop that from happening. So, but so I got that call, and I just said, yeah, that's the thing with stunts or the movie industry is you just make the best of what opportunities, you're given. And then I went and met Chris and worked with him, and we were a really good match as far as like size and look. And that's another thing. If you look like them as well, they can get away with more shots or more angles. Otherwise, it's just, the back of your head. So yeah, that was, we were matched up really good, and he ended up being super cool. So we kind of hung out and, kind of bonded, I guess, and ended up golfing. And then I doubled him when he came back on Passengers in Atlanta. We filmed that. Yeah. But that ratchet scene is they shoot like they're trying to destroy one of the little dinosaurs, and they shoot, I don't even know, some cannon or bazooka. And basically there's a huge explosion, and I'm just waiting on the guy to press the button to pop me back. And man, I could just feel that heat. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like my eyebrows still there.
Oh gosh.
So that's in the movie. And then, again, no pads, anything like that. I thought I bit off like about a quarter of my tongue because I had a mouthpiece, but I forgot to put it in. It was like in my pocket, and I was like, and they were down. I was like, oh shit.
You're like, there's a reason for these things.
Yeah, I was just like, oh yeah. I'm just like 3, 2. And then, man, I thought I knocked out, a couple of my front teeth, and then, but everything was there. And it felt like I got hit by a truck. I mean, that was. And luckily it was just a one and done. I was just like, oh man, I do not want to do that again.
Yeah, my son had wanted me to ask you, what's your most dangerous or scary stunt? So would you say it was that one, or?
No, I mean that one just, you're just along for the ride. I've done some fire burns, so you're lit on fire. Those are kind of scary, And then there was one when I did in Miami, was like jumping over this bridge that was opening over a canal.
Ooh.
And that was definitely, because it was about a 30-foot drop, at night. I had these shoes on that were too small that I'd been running in all day. So when you're jumping over the bridge opening, you can't see the other side. So you're just taking your best guess,
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah, it was supposed to, we were supposed to be on some wires and whatever. And they're like, we don't have time. It was just, for a TV show. So I was like, hey, and I was kind of just new starting. So I was just like, oh, sure. And we did it 3 times. And, the gap was not that far. But again, you're just running up and trying to make your best judgment. And if you trip or whatever, and, you'll hit that that side embankment was just pure concrete from the other side of the drawbridge, and then you land in the water.
Oof.
They did have a safety diver down there, but I mean, you'd be pretty much broken.
Oh gosh.
And,
then,
having to run
on the other
uphill
side,
and then jump. Ooh, that sounds terrible.
Then the other side is that you're running down, and so you're running so fast. They actually had a bunch of big pads that I just crashed into because you can't really stop.
Oh goodness.
So in the
that.
stunt world, is it pretty much just like, can you do this? And you just say yes and figure it out?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's so
you know,
cool.
like certain stuff, like you know, in Jurassic 1, they brought in a specialty motocross guy for all the motorcycles. Even though I ride motorcycles and do car stunts or whatever, but if they're going to do something kind of more specialized, they'll bring in a specialized guy. Like this guy was a top tier motocross guy. But that's how they become stunt people. They'll call a motocross guy or a car crash guy, specialty or something, or a race car driver. Then they do it, and then they're like, wow, that was awesome. And then they are like, I want to be a stuntman. So then they learn how to
you learn as you go, kind of, huh? That's fun.
So you're just always trying to just build your, repertoire of skills and talents. And, and then high falls are, pretty scary. It's called a header, where you just basically go face first and then your legs drop over you. So you're landing on your back. It's kind of like a reverse belly flop.
Yeah.
And then you just do that. You just go, you start low, and then you just go higher and higher and higher. At Disney, at the Indiana Jones, the Lights Motor Action Show, I used to do a 40-foot high fall, and that's a pretty good high fall.
That's very high. That sounds terrifying.
40 feet. Yeah. Oh my God.
And then plus you add in his height of like 6 foot.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the thing is when you look up at something, it doesn't look as tall, but when you're up looking down, it adds a dimension.
I've looked down specifically 40 feet before. It is not fun to look down at.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And then, so, I mean, you basically just kind of desensitize yourself to it, because I'm kind of a little afraid of heights. But,
well, that's a healthy fear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay to be afraid of heights. All right. So hot tips for all you future stuntmen out there.
I am not one of them. So.
All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share with us, or
no?
Anything you're up to lately? We'd love for you to plug anything you want to plug.
Oh yeah, well, so now I'm back in Orlando, and I opened up a restaurant called Real Bowls, and it's a poke place, build your own poke bowl place. So that's over behind Disney off of Reams Road, and it's called Real Bowls because I incorporated the movie stuff, and since I did work on Jurassic 1 and 2 in Hawaii, and that's where poke is from, that's kind of how everything is incorporated with that. So there's the movie posters, and then behind the scenes pictures underneath a lot of the posters, and that's doing well. And then I'm actually going to open up another one over off of Top of Vineland.
Oh, nice.
Kind of by where the new White Castle is. So that's later this year or very early next year.
Awesome.
And then, I still do some stunts. I mean, like I said, you have to kind of be where it's at in Atlanta. That's where they're filming everything. But I do still get calls and do some stuff. But you really constantly have to just let people know you're available and constantly, chasing and trying to email coordinators. And, so after a while, when you get older, it starts hurting a little bit more.
Right.
And, if you're not, the next step is to be a stunt coordinator, and normally you have to be under someone for a long time, or someone's nephew or
right.
brother,
or the Rock's cousin, I guess.
something like that. But so I'm happy, happy with this, and
awesome. And you guys, Tony, I can vouch for it. Tony's restaurant's really good. My son loves it. He has to go there all the time. And Reel is spelled Reel. So if you guys are looking for it,
like the movie,
like a movie reel, and the logo cool. is a little like movie reel. It's very cute.
And
it's
there's
really good.
realbowl.com, which you can go on and order online and see everything as well.
Yeah, really good salads, really good rice bowls, the salmon. Oh, he makes this like crab salad, Jonathan, that you would love.
I love crab salad.
So good. All right. Well, thank you so much. We know you're a very busy man. We really appreciate you making time for our little show here. Thank you so much. And you guys go to Tony's restaurant, support him, go watch all his movies. They're all really good, especially Jumanji. Well, Jurassic World's good too, but we were talking Jumanji. But Jumanji is really good, so you guys should watch that one.
It is.
So thank you so much, Tony. We really, really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
So, well, nice meeting you guys.
And we'd love to have you on if we talk about another movie. So we'll keep in touch, and I'll see you at the gym probably too.
We'll see you there. So, okay, you guys take care.
All right,
Thank you
too.
so much.
Tony. Bye.
Bye.
All right, now we're going to tease our next episode. It is time for us to reveal what you are going to be hearing from us next week. Drum roll, please. Our next film is The Goonies.
Ooh.
The Goonies, everybody. The Goonies.
The Goonies. Okay. So here's the thing. So this is one of those movies that I feel like people grew up with. I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily like critically regarded or that it won awards or anything like that. I'm sure it didn't, but it's a kid's movie, but I think it's one of those movies that people that are, maybe around my and Jonathan's age grew up with and love, but somehow we missed it. We didn't really watch that one. I mean, I've never seen it. So I don't know. I know that it's about some kids and maybe there's like a pirate ship involved and a map. And I know the kid from Indiana Jones Temple of Doom is in it. And I think Sean Astin is maybe in it.
Correct.
All right. One of the Corys.
And Josh Brolin.
Is one of the Corys in that? No,
yes.
Maybe.
Feldman, I think, is in this one.
All right. So I think that I know that they're like on an adventure, and I think it's like a bunch of kids that live in the same neighborhood, and I know they find a weird creature that says like, hey, you guys. I know that's a big part of it. I don't know. I don't know that I'm super looking forward to this one. I'm a little afraid that we're probably going to offend some people like we did with The Princess Bride, because I feel like we may not like this one as much as we should because we didn't grow up with it. So send it on over to you, Max. What do you know about this one?
I've already seen this one.
Oh,
yeah, I have.
cool.
I've seen it. It wasn't necessarily something that hit me at young enough childhood to really like connect or be something that I like or care about.
You're a little young for this one. I feel like
yeah.
it was maybe a little more, mine and Jonathan's generation.
Bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah, it exists. It's not for me. But I'm excited to talk about it because
definitely exists.
It so exists. It's crazy. Not my favorite movie, but I'm excited to talk about it because it is a very weird movie.
It seems a little
It's
weird,
very strange,
right?
and we're going to have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I feel like the cultural impact this one had is very similar to I don't think it's quite as popular, but I think it's very similar to what people feel about The Princess Bride. Mm-hmm. And I can say that I did see this movie in its entirety when I was younger, like maybe like 10 or something. Because it's a movie that like young kids can watch.
Sure.
And I remembered thinking it was really cool and that like it's super fun because it's like Indiana Jones but with kids.
Right.
So when you're a kid, it's like that's like super cool.
Yeah.
And then I saw it as an adult and I was like, huh.
No.
Wow. That is a film that exists.
But this is not
I've
like
seen
one.
it before, and it is not how I remember it at all.
Yeah,
No,
this is not
it's-
one that we
it's
like
not.
watched a lot when we were kids. Like I
Yeah.
think some kids did. Like
It was-
like I don't remember us watching it as children, Jonathan.
No, I think when I did watch it, you were probably maybe even were too young
young
to
to
watch
have
it,
even
and
learned it,
or,
yeah.
or remember that you watched it.
I mean, you
or
must have
whatever.
not liked it that much because I don't remember you watching it a bunch.
We never like owned it. I think we might have like
Yeah.
rented it from Warehouse Video.
Ooh,
Which
flashback.
for my fellow geriatric millennials, you'll remember that before Blockbuster there was The Warehouse, and you
Never
could
heard
rent
of it.
those movies, and you could only rent them for one night, and you could maybe do. I think you could rent 2 videos at once. And then when Blockbuster came along and it's like, you can rent these movies for 3 whole days.
and you
Everybody
can
was
do like 5 at a time.
5 at a time. Yeah, so I believe it may have been something I may have even I may have been like spending the night at our grandparents' house and they rented it. I'm not sure, but we never like owned this movie. I've never owned a copy of this movie. So yeah, we're excited to talk to you guys about that, and also we will have a special guest next week.
Her name is Caitlin Larkin. She's a very good friend of mine. She's a fellow Beatles fan, and she has her own podcast. She hosts podcasts about, it's a good tie-in for this one because it's about movies as well, but hers is specifically about Back to the Future. So we're very excited to talk to her about this movie. She chose this movie because she decided that this was one that she felt she should watch because, again, she hasn't seen it, and this is one that people have told her her she should see, just like they've told me that I should have watched by now. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk to Caitlin about this one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's super fun when we have a guest who has never seen the movie before.
Yeah.
I think we either want a guest who has never seen the movie before or a guest who is like, this is the greatest movie of all time.
Nothing in between.
But not to say that we won't take anyone who wants to come be, not like anyone. I mean, this also doesn't go out to every single person on earth, but someday it will. We're so excited to have people that are interested to come on and guest and talk about these movies with us. Because boy, is this fun. Yeah. I hope it comes through on the recordings that, guys, even on the more serious films, we have so much fun talking about this. And so we enjoy discussing it with each other. And we're so happy to let you all in on the conversation. And so that's going to be it for us. Thanks again to Tony for talking to us and giving us our first ever podcast interview. So exciting. Can't wait to do more of those. And thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for especially thank you for we have to do some Sophia Loren movies. I really want to thank everyone who is interacting with us, particularly with our YouTube channel. We always want to push that channel. Max does a great job of transferring those files for us, and James Alexander at Pleasant View Designs on Instagram creates a episode specific cover art for us for every episode. So go in and take a peek at that and, listen to it on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to us on our regular website as well, obviously, and check out Patreon because we have extra stuff for you to see, for you to hear it, listen to.
Check the description below for links to our show page, which can connect you to everywhere you can listen to our podcast, and to our Patreon and to our social media pages, or click support the show below to take you right to our Patreon.
And please go support Tony. His restaurant is really good. I really do love his food. It's right behind the Magic Kingdom. If you're local in Orlando, realbowls.com. Go check out his restaurant. It's so good.
Yes.
I love it.
And we do always put in the descriptions of our episodes, we'll put any links to our guests' web pages or Twitter or Instagram.
Absolutely.
They will always be on there. So if there's a guest you've heard before that you'd be interested in contacting, just look for that on our page. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for interacting with us. Hit us up on Gmail. What do you mean you've never seen at gmail.com? Hit up our pages and continue to come back and listen. And we promise to keep providing this fun content for all of you. So this is Jonathan signing off.
Thanks, everybody. This is Jennifer. J for Jennifer.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you next week.
Bye.
What Do You Mean You've Never Seen is written by Jonathan Gillan. Theme song and editing by Maxwell Abelman. Cover art by James Alexander. Your hosts are Jonathan Gillan, Jennifer Branch, and Max Abelman. Please visit whatdoyoumeanyou'veneverseen.buzzsprout.com for more great episodes and links to our social media and Patreon pages. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.